topics in this book. I have therefore limited myself primarily to domestic legal issues and private law themes. I have emphasized common law judicial decisions and legislation more than constitutional developments, and I have sought to focus on topics and issues that are connected to central themes in American history. Chapter 1. The Legal History of Indian Tribes. The most fundamental theme of American legal history in the 16th and 17th centuries was the interaction of European settlers with the Aboriginal tribes who inhabited the North American continent. The settlers mistakenly gave them the name Indians because when Christopher Columbus had reached the Bahamian island he named San Salvador in 1492, he believed he had reached the Indies, the name given to India and China by previous European explorers. Columbus called the indigenous tribes of San Salvador Los Indios, and later settlers perpetuated the name. The first step in the successful creation of European settlements in North America was an accommodation with the tribes, who vastly outnumbered European settlers in America through the 18th century and remained the primary inhabitants of the western portions of the continent through the end of the Civil War. Law played a central role in that accommodation, and its terms were far more favorable to the European settlers and their descendants than to the tribes. Alexis de Tocqueville, in his early 19th century book, Democracy in America, maintained that British and American settlers, in contrast to the Spanish who from the 1500s on had subdued Aboriginal tribes in Central and South America with military force, had interacted with North American tribes quietly, legally, and philanthropically without spilling blood in a regular and, so to say, quite legal manner. Tocqueville's comment captured the fact that when tribes posed some kind of threat to European settlements in America, settlers did not typically seek to overcome them militarily. Instead, they turned to law, by which they deprived them of their land, forced them to relocate to areas remote from settlements, and eventually placed them on reservations, where they were treated as wards of the federal government. The history of the legal treatment of American Indian tribes can be divided into distinct phases of settler tribal accommodation. In all but the last phase, the interaction between tribes and settlers disadvantaged the tribes. The contact phase. The ancestors of the North American tribes, whom the first European settlers encountered, had originally arrived by traveling long distances over land bridges from Asia, and for centuries had found North America an environment easily capable of supporting agricultural and hunter-gatherer societies. Tribes lived off the land, typically moving from place to place in search of food or places to plant crops. Their environmental practices included symbiotic crop growing and the controlled burning of forests to facilitate the regeneration of nutriments in the soil. They organized themselves in clans and extended families, emphasizing intermarriage and collective uses of property. Aboriginal tribes did not enclose land, and most of their settlements were mobile, driven by seasonal changes. Individual tribes tended to return to the same areas at given times of the year, and to treat those areas as reserved for them, and in some instances had hostile relations with other tribes who occupied adjacent areas. Members of clans were ranked hierarchically, with one member of a clan serving as sachem, or head of a set of clans. When a member of a clan injured or killed a member of another clan, reciprocal payment was expected, sometimes in the form of a human sacrifice, and other times in some other form of compensation. Males and females engaged in different work activities. Men served as hunters and gatherers, and women as agricultural workers and child rearers. When seasonal climates precluded hunting or gathering, men engaged in leisure pursuits, such as athletics or gambling. Women's leisure opportunities were limited. Social interactions within and between the tribes took common forms. None of the tribes on the American continent had a written language.